much for joining us on our 95th edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Petruski.
And I'm Andrew Miller.
And of course, we're the podcast that talks to the people, places, and events and music that make this city the incredible city that it is. And you can find us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook, share it with your friends, like us on iTunes. But before we get to our very special guest, why don't we check this out?
Hey folks, this is Mark of Still Winter Hills. We're going to be playing Irene's Pub this Friday night along with the Dead Bees and the Orienteers. The songs you're going to hear are Hold Up the Sky, Sadie Hawkins, and Day's End. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and at stillwinterhills.com. And you can find our CD at places like Compact Music and the Record Center. Thanks for listening to both us and Lunch Out Loud.
Salvation on a cold tile floor, pretty wreck in the scent of red. Return the favor of a steadying hand. Ooh, it clears my head. Now be strong, take heart. Ain't gonna fall apart. And that's all I know. She might be afraid, but she won't let it show. She's one of the last ones, she's one of the few left to hold up the sky.
So much, Still Winter Hills, and of course they'll be playing Friday night at Irene's, the Dead Bees CD release party, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of great concerts coming up this weekend, so if you like music in the capital, you're going to love this weekend. So we're very excited to be here at the 89 Stonehurst at the Parkdale Food Center with the wonderful coordinator Karen Secord, who I think you get mentioned on quite a bit of episodes because you have quite the following. Every time we're in Beyond the Pale, which is frequently.
They're my heroes.
They're always talking about you.
I'm always talking about them. I'm always telling a story about boys and their toys whenever I talk about them. Because, you might see over here this great big, huge, gigantic blackboard. Yeah. So we got this idea that we should have this little blackboard like when I was a kid, a little green blackboard, and so one of our volunteers, Tanya, who loves it over there, she may drink beer. That's the rumor. She went over and she said, guys, could you make a blackboard? And a couple of months later, in they come, January last year, I remember, coldest day of the year, these three guys carrying this humongous blackboard. They carried it from Hamilton Avenue over here.
Oh, wow.
Because it wouldn't fit in the truck. In fact, they thought they couldn't get it out of the building because they made it so big. Because boys, when you give them a project, they like to make things huge. And it
go
turned
big or
out,
go home.
Go big or go home. And it turned out, isn't this the signature piece where we can communicate with people? Yes. We can use art. And Tanya, who's Dan Marlock's wife, she does her art thing on there, and it's pretty amazing.
It's
so
wonderful.
We love those guys. We see them every week. They bring us great food.
And that is the one you see on our little poster that we made for this week's episode. That is
the blackboard.
That's
okay.
the blackboard we put on.
Yeah.
So we usually ask our guests what their kind of favorite, to get to know them a little bit before the show. We ask them what their favorite restaurants are. But I guess we'll do it a little differently and ask what kind of restaurants in this area help support the Parkdale Food Center.
Oh man, and what if I forget one?
Well,
there's plenty. So
we have had, we do these cooking workshops, and so we just put the call out. It will be 2 years in January. We started the first one, and now we're doing 3 a month.
Three a month now.
Yeah, wow. So we have a guy who comes in and does Italian cooking. He calls it peasant cooking, so whatever's in the fridge, and he teaches people to put that together. And the idea is to sit around and have a lovely meal together because, that's how you socialize, right? That's how we all do it, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. Every holiday, every Sunday meal is all about sitting down together, and people tell me they don't do that. When you live in poverty, you generally do not sit down and have a meal with anyone, right? You may be eating stew out of a can. And so let me just see. Carly Scheck from Urban Element, and Steve from Supply and Demand, and Chris from Wellington Gastropub, and Jay from Essence Catering, who's coming next week to do, what could we say about Summer Baird from Hindenburg Public House? Every single thing she does there has a Parkdale Food Center twist on it. She's putting money in our bank account like all the time, and she does it quietly. She does it through the website. She doesn't come and present a check. She's totally amazing. Because of bread we get from
we were
Bridgehead,
at
burnt butter.
Hindenburg Public House last week doing the show, and we noticed on their menus that
Yes.
a portion of I forget what it was.
Credit card sales?
Yeah, 2%.
Yeah,
2%.
for
Instead
all
of giving
October, yeah.
$1,000, she just puts it in quietly into our bank account. $1,000. Look at Tom from the Hittenberger. What could we say? He pulled his truck off the road, his trailer off the road, when I gave him this idea one day about, we should do this reverse food truck thing that I see they're doing that in a couple of places in the States, Wisconsin. Yeah. And I explained it to him, instead of going and getting a beautiful hamburger, you actually come and give good food. So instead of purchasing good food, you give good food. And he calls me up and he said, listen, we're going to park it here. And I said, well, what about bylaw? Like, are you allowed to park it there? And he said, oh, we don't worry about that. And for a whole month, 3 days a week, we tried it out, and it worked. And he didn't get any money that month off that truck because
you did it for one whole month.
We did it for a whole month. Every week, he'd say, okay, well, maybe next week will be the last week, And not only that, but he had the signs made. These great big huge.
All right, sorry for a few technical difficulties, but we're right back. So we're talking about the reverse food truck, and we'll get right back to that because I think that's such a great idea. And will you be doing it again?
Yeah, we're actually looking at getting a van. And that van, we're hoping it's a little under wraps, but it is a local business who has offered to lease us a van for 3 years. Yes, sirree, 3 years.
Nice.
And someone has offered to give us money to wrap it. So, we'd say Parkdale Food Center on it. And that van will be our reverse food truck. It'll also help me to go and pick up food. It'll also, because we're moving to 30 Rosemount, for people who live at the family shelter here at Forward Avenue, or the seniors who live in this building here, we hope to be able to pick them up, so have designated days for shopping. So if you've got 5 kids, it's hard enough right now. There's a few of us who drive people home, or we drive the food home for them and they walk home. So we'll be able to use that. But as a reverse food truck, we're hoping to be able to lend that truck and show, talk to other food banks, so Westboro and Dalhousie, the ones that come to mind, to use that to collect food or do events in their community. So we want to educate people that you can, in fact, donate perishable foods to your community food bank. And there's 29 community food banks in Ottawa.
Wow.
29.
That's astounding.
It's astounding. And because I think that they've kind of operated like little fiefdoms where people really don't know. They're run by volunteers. Volunteers don't have time to go out and advertise that, this is what is happening in your community. What we did when I started here 2 years ago is we went and stood outside of Metro, because I didn't know either. And so I thought, well, if I don't know, other people don't know.
Yeah.
So stood outside of Metro, a really great manager there who let me do that, because, that isn't a place we're supposed to be, because they help the Ottawa Food Bank, which helps us in turn.
I was just going to ask if it's like Ottawa Food Bank's kind of umbrella.
It's
all the other 29 are kind of underneath.
We're the community food bank. So the community food banks we deal with the people. We're the frontline workers, right? We're giving people food. The Ottawa Food Bank collects the food and distributes it to us. And for us, we want to have more fresh food, right? And they have 140 programs. They have to spread that out. So we do all kinds of other stuff. So we went and stood outside of Metro, and I said to every single person who walked in, because I'm not shy. Yeah. I said, so did you know that there's a family shelter behind here? No, there is not. People would say, did you know that there's a food bank right over here? No idea. There is not in this neighborhood. And so we get in this conversation. And, well, what do you want? Well, I want dairy. So people came out. I think we did it twice. We got 181 liters of milk the first time and 151 the second, plus cheese. And we filled an SUV twice with all the stuff.
That's great.
So we took half to the shelter, because that's where there's lots of children, and we kept the other half.
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's not normal to be collecting dairy and perishable food products.
Right. And so we thought that the reverse food truck, how wonderful. So we could educate people. You could donate to your local food bank, and you could be bringing milk. You could be bringing cheese or yogurt. We really could use that. And so first day, a little girl shows up with a cup I think it was in August, July and August, a cup of raspberries that she picked out of her backyard. And so then we took those raspberries in on Tuesday and we put them in muffins. Right? So there are ways. We want you to be to bringing things out of your garden. We want to do plant a row, donate a row, right? So you might have just seen here a whole lot of kale come in.
Yeah.
Right? So that came out of a guy's garden, and that's Tom Marcantonio, and he comes the first Tuesday of every month and does the Italian cooking with us. And he is a master gardener, and he'd like to see a garden in everyone's backyard. And we're looking at all kinds of ways that we can start a community garden. And we think we may have a place on Irving Avenue with a woman who has a lot next to her house and is thinking of giving it to us.
And then you'll be able to educate. That will just be another event that you put on. Now, you put on a lot of monthly or twice a month cooking from different chefs in this area. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other events or what that people do when they come to the Parkdale Food Center?
Well, right now we're open 2 days a week. When we move, we'll hope to be open 4 days a week. So,
when are you going to move?
Our first day of operation there will be December the 9th.
Okay.
So we'll be moving that weekend of December 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Should be a pretty...
We are going to need some strong people because I don't lift things.
Okay.
Yeah. Should be a pretty busy time to be moving for the food bank, you have to say, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a busy time, and we would have liked to have moved for December 1st, but you know what it's like to be renovating a space, and so everything is, like, I couldn't tell you how many people have helped us, how many tradespeople have helped us. Last weekend we had a professional painter come in and do the ceiling. He only charges for the materials, same as the floor. Came in on a weekend. They're giving their weekends up to help us, just charging us for the materials. It's really, really exciting. Multi-drain, did all the plumbing, sent 2 plumbers out, all the materials and everything, didn't charge us anything.
Wow, that's amazing.
Totally amazing. Yeah, and we have two of our neighbors who use the center here, and before they retired, they were, retired people who don't have enough money to eat. And they worked in construction, and they are over there. They have drywalled and framed, and they're over there today. And Hindenburger is buying them lunch.
Oh, that's very wonderful.
Yeah.
And so who can come to the food center?
Anybody.
Anybody can come in.
Yeah, anybody could come in, and we ask you to show us something that you live in the area.
Yeah.
And, people who can afford to buy food themselves are not coming here. So it's people who are on Ontario Works, people who are on disability, so people with mental health and physical health issues, people on pensions, a lot of seniors. And we're going to be able to give you, 6 months from now, I'm going to be able to give you exact statistics thanks to the Ottawa Food Bank.
That's right. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, thanks to the Ottawa Food Bank and the Link to Feed program. So the Parkdale Food Centre, we knew a year ago, more than a year ago, that we could not continue recording people's names on recipe cards the way it's been done for the last 27 years. Mm-hmm. It's totally inefficient, and how do we know who we're even serving? We need to move forward with this. How can we tell governments, did you know that we have 14 rooming houses in this area, which we do, and that 80% of those people are on disability support and they cannot feed themselves?
Yeah.
Like, we can't tell you that, but we will be able to tell you that with this Link to Feed program.
And that's going to help so much. And you got new computers coming in to record this.
We have we're ready. So we got a grant from Clear Skies from the Ottawa Airport a year ago. Absolutely amazing program, and their head of security came and presented it to us and actually wrote about us in their newsletter. So we had the computers. We're ready to go with a program from the States. We have a guy on our board who runs Mediumizer, and him and his team started a computer tech team for us. He sourced out a program for us. We're ready to go when the Ontario Association of Food Banks mandated to the Ottawa Food Bank that they have to start using this Link to Feed program, which all of Ontario will be using, and it makes perfect sense. It makes absolute perfect sense.
Absolutely.
So it took us a bit of time to get up to speed on that program, and they had a committee, and we sent one of our guys, Len Fridella, from our board, who owns Peter's New Jobs. We have the best people. So Len Fridella, he went out there, he learned the program. We have a doctorate student who is volunteering with us. She learned the program. We waited until they were ready. We rolled it out now on November the 1st, and there is, as you can see here now, it's taking about 15 minutes to register people, but